Guys, welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. This episode is going to be with a good friend of mine, Dave Martin. And I've known Dave for over 20 years, and we've been able to share some hunts together and gone down to Mexico and shared some sheep hunts. And him and his friend Reed Workman do a lot of sheep scouting with me, and we just have had a great friendship over the years. And this is going to be a great episode talking to Dave about preparing for his hunts, doing the rim to rim to rim, which is the Grand Canyon, 47 miles from one edge down to the bottom, up to the other rim, and then all the way back in one day. Talking about his prep for that, talking about his long-range shooting. I believe it's called the Vortex Challenge. He shot in that the last handful of years and's really learned a lot about long-distance shooting. We're going to talk to Dave about gear. We're going to talk to him about Unit 9 elk hunting in Arizona, and just a real wealth of information. I encourage you guys, listeners, for those of you people that are listening in the Maricopa County area, and I use Dave Martin High Country Comfort. He's my air conditioning contractor for all my air conditioning and heat. He does my rental homes. My dad's a property manager, and Dave does all of his rental homes. He does my personal home, takes care of my AC unit. So trust him. He's a phenomenal guy. I've known him for a long time. He's got a great staff. I encourage you to give him a call at 480-649-5449, High Country Comfort, if you have any AC or heat problems. Great company, great guy. It's going to be a great episode. Also like to remind you guys that the Western Hunter and Elk Hunter magazines you hear in these commercials on these podcasts, they are doing a $1,500 credit through the Outdoorsman's in Phoenix. I've gotten a little bit more clarity on the giveaway. $1,500 Swarovski credit through the Outdoorsman's in Phoenix. But all you have to do is go to westernhunter.net/JScott. That's lowercase JAYSCOTT, all one word. All you have to do is go to that link or go to the website, westernhunter.net/JScott. Enter your email address. They're going to pick one winner. July 15th, that person's going to get a $1,500 credit towards any Swarovski product at the Outdoorsman's. And what a great opportunity. All you got to do is enter your email address. They've assured me that they're not selling your email address. They've assured me that they're not going to bombard you with a bunch of stuff. They just wanted to run a promotion for this podcast, and I appreciate their support, their sponsorship of this podcast. And if you guys go register your email address, you get a chance to be in the drawing for a $1,500 Swarovski credit. And who doesn't want another pair of Swarovski, whether it be a rifle scope or binoculars or spotting scope? Phenomenal. I'm a Swarovski guy. I love Swarovski. I've used it for probably over 20 years since I bought my first pair of 10x42 SLC binoculars. I basically have every single Swarovski product and have had every generation, and I'm just a firm believer in their products. So I'd like to thank the sponsors of this podcast. GoHunt.com Insider is a phenomenal resource and tool. Their drawing odds on their filtering 2.0 system is unprecedented. And, GoHunt.com Insider has been with me as a sponsor of this podcast from the beginning. And I greatly appreciate Lorenzo Sartini and his crew, Chris Porter and Brady Miller and all the guys over at GoHunt.com. They have done an unbelievable job of gathering data from all these different game and fish organizations and getting, draw odds and harvest statistics and moon cycles and all the different things that play into different hunts that we're looking at across the West, and the thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers and insider members that are using this tool. I hear from a lot of them, get great feedback. Covering the western states, everything from Colorado to New Mexico to Arizona to Utah to Montana to Idaho to Washington to Oregon. Uh, it's an unbelievable tool. And when I've talked to Lorenzo before on the podcast, he's like, Jay, it's just like the Apple, the Apple iPhone 1 and then number 2. And I know the guys over at GoHunt.com have got some great things up their sleeve. And it's exciting to be sponsored by a great company like them that has as much foresight. And, with the electronic platform, all of the great stories and articles and how-tos and videos on GoHunt.com, the free portion of the website is phenomenal and fantastic. But then you become a GoHunt Insider member, and the strategy, application strategy articles, and some of the technicalities and the how-tos and some of the hunts that are a diamond in the rough. It's an unbelievable resource. So I want to thank GoHunt.com Insider for their sponsorship of this podcast, and remind you that if you go to sign up for GoHunt.com Insider, use the JScott promo code, you will automatically get a $50 coues gift card to use at coues. You guys know what a fan I am of Jason Hairston and his company coues. So take advantage of that by using the JScott promo code. I'd like to thank the Outdoorsmans, Cody and his staff in Phoenix. They do a phenomenal job with optic sales, with backpacks, with all the machined aluminum tripods. Make sure to take advantage of your discount code. All the products over there at the Outdoorsmans, you get a 10% discount using the JScott promo code. Wilderness Athlete is another great company. They have been around for a few years, and the feedback from their products. I was just using the Hydrate and Recover product this morning after my workout. I'm trying to get ready for this elk hunt in Utah, and so I've been using the Wilderness Athlete Hydrate and Recover every day. I love it. I want to thank Western Hunter, Elk Hunter magazines, and then Utah Hydrographics. Guys, if you use the JScott promo code, you can get things dipped over there at Utah Hydrographics. Anything from rifle scopes to fenders on your UTV, ATV, shotguns, you name it. I mean, they can dip anything, and they do a great job. And then, of course, PhoneScope, phonescope.com. Cheston Davis and his company have revolutionized the digiscoping with the phone, and some of the quality images that are coming in off of some of these great cell phones between the Samsung and the iPhone is super high quality, and the video and PhoneScope is just blown up. So I really appreciate PhoneScope and their sponsorship of this podcast. We're going to get right to this episode with Dave Martin. Before we do that, I want to thank you guys, the listeners, for all your support. I'll ask you to follow along my Instagram account at JScottOutdoors. If you're listening, if you're on Instagram, please come find me. Send me a direct message. I want to know who you are. And also, I thank all of you guys that are using the hashtag JScottOutdoors podcast, the hashtag JScottOutdoors. It's gaining traction, and just appreciate all that support that you guys come and give me on Instagram, and all the comments and all the positive feedback. Also on my email, jscottoutdoors@gmail.com. I get multiple questions every day. I try and answer them as soon as I can. Usually same day, sometimes within 5 minutes of getting the message. If you've got any questions or there's specifics that you want to hear on this podcast or people you want to hear, please email me at jscottoutdoors@gmail.com. I also want to encourage you. I want to hear about your upcoming hunts. I want to know what you're preparing for. I want to know how you're preparing. So send me an email, and we're all a brother. We're all brothers here, hunting brothers and sportsmen, and it's exciting to be able to cheer for our fellow sportsmen. We're all got hunts coming up this fall, and we're just about to start seeing a bunch of velvet scouting photos, whether trail cam photos or high country photos, and it's just a great time of year. Everybody's getting fired up. Everybody's shooting their bows, shooting their rifles, working on their loads, working on their packs, trying to cut down on their weight and figure out the ultralight, the best way to go. Everybody's gear testing, so I want to hear about it. Send me messages through Facebook at JScott Outdoors or on my Instagram or emails or text messages. And I just thank you guys for all of your support. Let's get right to this episode here. Oh, one more thing. I want to remind you guys to go on my YouTube channel, and I believe I've had it up since 2008. There are a lot of great videos from everything from elk hunting to sheep hunting to mule deer, coues deer, turkey, a lot of how-tos, a lot of hunts, a lot of hunt stories, a lot of harvest shots, just a lot of great videos there. Come find my YouTube channel and subscribe, and I just appreciate all of that support. Let's get right to this episode with Dave Martin, and he's a wealth of knowledge. Let's get right to it. Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today we've got a really good friend of mine, Dave Martin, and I've known Dave for, it seems like going on maybe 20 years. I don't know exactly. I think we met in Unit 3C up elk hunting maybe 20 years ago, maybe more. Dave is the owner and operator of High Country AC and Heat, and you can maybe correct me on the name of your company, Dave. I'm sorry.
High Country Comfort.
High Country Comfort. Dave and his crew do all of my AC units and heat needs for my rentals, for my personal house. Dave's been in the valley for a long, long time, and we're going to get into that, some of the details. But I'm anxious to have Dave on the phone to talk hunting, and we've shared some hunts together, and we like to go out and scout for bighorn sheep, and we share the love of coues deer hunting and elk hunting, and it's going to be great to have you on. Dave, how you doing?
Good. Enjoying the weather.
I'm sure. I'm up here in Colorado, but I keep good track of how it's going down in Phoenix. I actually have a wedding to go to this weekend, and I noticed that the temperatures are perfect for a guy in your business. The temps are supposed to hit 120, I believe, 1 or 2 days over the next 7 days, and then kind of a consistent 116 to 118 type of high temps. What do you think about that?
I think it's good. In the air conditioning business, we call it Christmas in July.
Dave, for the listeners out there, how long have you been in the AC business?
Virtually my whole working career. I started back, about 81, doing air conditioning with a refrigeration school in 83, and worked with my dad for a while, and then started my own business in 93, got my contractor's license, and started doing air conditioning, and loved it ever since. Some people think I did it on purpose because it blends really good with hunting, because we're busy in the summer and not much, so it lends to some good hunting.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. You and I talk quite often throughout the week, and maybe once a week or so, I'll talk to you, and you never know where Dave's at. I mean, it could be 9 o'clock at night, and I'll call Dave, and he'll be up on a roof somewhere, or what part of the valley are you in today? And he's like, well, I was in Chandler, now I'm in Scottsdale, and now I'm in Glendale, and now I'm in Phoenix, and it's that's just kind of the life and times of an AC guy in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, we just got to do it when it's time. When it's hot. People want to be cool, and we're here to provide that.
Dave, what can people out there listening do to maintain their AC units throughout the year, so that they'll run smoother?
Just like anything, just regular maintenance. Get them checked once a year. Change the filter once a month if you're using them. Like here in the summertime, where they run 24/7 for about 6 months out of the year, you got to change them once a month. Just normal stuff like that, and have some type of a professional look at it and see, and make sure everything's good to go. And that's the best you can do. Just like a car, just get it tuned up, make sure everything's working like it's supposed to be working.
Yeah, on weeks like this where, last week there were some days where it didn't even hit 100 or was hovering, or 98 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference in call volume usually when those temps get up, 115 plus in Phoenix?
Quite a bit. Like that weekend it was. I mean, we worked like 12 hours on Saturday and like 8 hours on Sunday. Generally we do a few here and there, but when the temperatures get up, it's a full day's work, and everybody wants to be cooled, and you got to cool them right away because you can't live in a house in the desert when it's 115 degrees and your unit's not working. So it has to be working. So we got to make it out there.
So you guys are awfully busy in the summer, but the rest of the time in Arizona, the demand is not quite as high, so it fits well with your hunting schedule. As long as I've known you, you've gone up to Unit 9, and had friends that have had tags. You've had your own tag, Unit 9, up there by Tucson. And what is it about that place that draws you there every year during elk season?
Just a good place. I mean, years ago I got to the point. It's hard to be an expert in every unit in the state, but in here in Arizona. And I decided I wanted a northern one and a mid-state one. Have one for elk, one for coues, and just get to know them really good. And we just fell in love with that place. I mean, it's known for great elk, and it's had great elk over the years. But more than anything, it's there, right on the edge of the Grand Canyon, and just easy place. A lot of cedar country, easy to hunt. We got a group of guys of probably 10 guys in a group that just go every year, and we're just more than willing to help anybody that wants to let us help them, because we just love being there and chasing them and being there that time of year.
What do you notice from when you first started going there to now? Do you think a lot has changed? What have you noticed? Quality of bulls, quality of hunt. Is it better? Is it worse? What do you think?
It's definitely changed in some ways. They've done different things. Unit 9 used to be a open unit as far as travel. You could go anywhere you wanted. A few years ago, they went to this travel management program, and now you have to stick to roads, and you can only go to retrieve game, which is fine. That's not a big deal. But as far as the unit, it's just kind of a pressure cooker. It seems like it's like other units that are, have good game, and everybody wants to be there. Everybody's there to, kill the biggest animal they can. And sometimes they get a little too caught up in it. And, a lot of times we go up there for the enjoyment, the fun, the camaraderie of it. And, I have great relationships with, a bunch of different guides up there. I know everybody up there, get along with them fine, because we're all up there to have fun and enjoy the hunt and enjoy the people. And, I don't notice a lot. We've had a few problems over the years, in different times, but it tends to, for the most part, just be it's just a fun time. It's a great time to be in the mountains, and a great place, to be.
Yeah. There was one particular time I remember you weren't involved, but I believe your son and one of his friends were involved in it. included a ground blind, and maybe guys, they were sitting and some other guys showed up. Do you mind sharing that story with me?
Yeah, they were sitting a blind, and it was a popular water hole, and they wanted to sit it, and I'd been by there, and I'd seen someone else had the blind, had been refreshing it. And I said, well, if you guys want to sit there, you better get there early. And they went there at 2:00 in the afternoon, and about 4:30, these other guys showed up, and they kind of thought that ought to be their place, even though it's on Forest Service land. And didn't want to talk about it, and it kind of ended in a little fist fight and a game of fish coming and arresting those guys, because on public land, it's public land. It's first come, first serve. And that's the thing we run into over the years, is that the professional type people, they know the game. You can talk to them and say, hey, okay, you're here today, we'll sit here tomorrow or whatever. People talk about it. It's the some people just don't understand that aspect of it, and it's very few. Most people you run into are more than willing to talk and say, okay, you hunt here today, I'll hunt here tomorrow. If there happens to be a popular hole, if it's popular, sometimes we just stay away from them too. So, I mean, you have to learn how to, like in anything, get along with people, and apparently those people didn't want to get along too well, and they picked on the wrong 26-year-olds in a foxhole there and asked them to get out, and it didn't turn out too well for them.
That story circulated. Everybody was getting a kick out of that story for sure. Are you headed up this year? Do you have tags yourself, or how many tags will you have in camp this year?
No, I don't have any myself. A couple of my boys drew the late rifle bull tag in there, so we'll be there in late November. But we have some other friends that have drawn the archery hunt, so we would definitely be up there and hunting the archery hunt up there like we usually are, and set our camp up and have a good time, and and we're good. I mean, if anybody wants help or talk, or it's not a standoffish situation. We're all up there for fun, and more than willing to help people, and stop on the side of the road and talk to somebody, and we're just up there to have a good time.
Yeah, it's always great to go by and see you guys at camp, and I tend to show up around dinner time, so that's usually good for 3 or 4 nights until they finally put the chain across and say Jay can't come anymore at dinner time.
And you can't bring any broken vehicles in either.
Pull in and it's Dave's repair shop. Yeah, we've had a few of those, flat tire changing and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, good times. Another thing that you do up there every year, that's right there close to Unit 9, is you do the rim to rim to rim. How many years have you done the rim to rim to rim, and how did it start? How did how did you first decide you wanted to do that? And I'm talking about the Grand Canyon, so maybe you can fill the listeners in on that.
Yeah, I've done it 16 times now. We do it once a year. We have a group of people. We had 19 people do it rim to rim to rim this year, and it's just something we do every year. It started, back in the late 90s, there 2000. Me and 2 of my brothers, and we just decided to do it. Heard about it, did it, and just done it ever since. We, mainly because it helps someone. It's such a big activity. It helps you get in shape. I mean, you have virtually a gun to your head saying it's time for the canyon. It's 4 months out or 5 months out, and it's time to get serious about your training. And it makes you get in shape every year. And I do it, just for my love of hunting, to get in shape every year. It forces me to do something to really, take you into that next level of fitness on there. So, but it's got to the point where there's a lot of people that do it. There's some people that come and do it one time and then they don't do it again. But there's a pretty good core group of guys that we have that just do it every year. It's just a great, it's rim to rim. We start on the south, we go to the north, turn around and come back to the south one day. The goal is under 24 hours. It's roughly about 47 miles and 22,000 feet in elevation changes. You got about 11,000 down and 11,000 ups. So it's a pretty good ordeal, and it'll test you physically and mentally, and sometimes we just need that stuff in life. I'm a big believer in, you got to go back to basics once in a while. We get in this easy lifestyle and cars and air conditioning and zipping around, and it teaches you not just get in shape, but teaches you patience and a lot of other things. It makes you dig down a little bit. So it's kind of a good event to do, and not that it's the only one. We live in Arizona and we have the Grand Canyon right here, and it works great for us. I'm sure there's other activities that people do around the country that, do the same thing, but, we live here in Arizona and we might as well take advantage of the Grand Canyon. We have it right here. And plus it's in Unit 9 and it just goes together with everything we do up there.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you feel like you're at home. I know you do when you're up there. I've got some questions about the actual hike, the rim to rim to rim. From what I understand, if you do the hike in less than 24 hours, you do not need a permit for the park. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what they say. Any day activity does not require a permit. Now, if you go and there's different Phantom Ranch and Cottonwood and down in the bottom, if you go and spend the night, then you have to, put in ahead of time and get permits to spend the night in there. But if you do it in any activity in the canyon in one day, you don't need a permit.
And what time do you guys typically start? And I assume you're going down with headlamps, and kind of walk me through how the start of that process is going down.
Yeah, we start at midnight, just so we can get out at a decent time, get back to the hotels, get a little dinner and stuff like that. So we start at 3, but if you're having a tough day, it puts you out a little late. So we started at midnight, and we just all meet at the trailhead and take a few pictures of everybody that's there this year, and then we head down the trail and think about the canyon. The new people, you can kind of tell, they take off and they start running down, and the more experienced ones, start out at their pace and go, and it's a learning experience. But all day you run across people. You go with a group, but then you could be by yourself. You go your own pace, and you might trail along with somebody, might be with you a lot of times, but you'll run across everybody in the canyon going across because you're going up and down the same trail, so you run across people all the time. But biggest thing is just to go in there and get a pace that's comfortable to you and maintain it, or you'll pay the price later if you try to keep up with somebody else, and there's plenty of people that have done that in the past.
Yeah, I've got some more questions about that. Let's take a quick break here. I have known the owners of the Outdoorsmans in Phoenix for over 20 years. They are the authority on optics and hunting gear. Outdoorsmans is the leading designer and manufacturer of high-quality tripods, mounting accessories, and pack systems for all hunters. Their customer service is the best in the business. Go to outdoorsmans.com or call 1-800-291-8065 and use the J. Scott promo code to receive 10% off any Outdoorsmans products. GoHunt.com Insider is by far the most valuable tool a Western hunter could give themselves. GoHunt.com Insider are the industry leaders and number one source for Western hunting for a lot of reasons. GoHunt.com Insider have changed the game for how hunts and hunting information are found. Within a matter of minutes using Filtering 2.0, you'll be able to filter by state, species, residency, odds of drawing a tag, specific hunting dates, and harvest success percentages to find the hunts that fit exactly what you're looking for. If you are a guy that applies across the West or just in your home state but want to find some new opportunity, there's no better way to do it than using GoHunt.com Insider. As an exclusive offer to my listeners, if you sign up for a GoHunt.com Insider membership for $149 a year and use the promo code JSCOTT at checkout, you'll receive a $50 coues gift card. Head on over to GoHunt.com/insider and get yourself the most valuable membership a hunter could have. Okay, Dave, so you're starting at midnight. You're going in with flashlights. You're kind of all going down as a group. And help me with my math, but you're going to go down, cross the river, go up to the other side on the north rim, take a few pictures, come all the way back, and you'll be getting back to the point of origin at roughly what time?
Somewhere usually between six, 6 and 8 o'clock. It's going to be, depending how you're feeling. Most people, it's going to be a 16 to 20 hour ordeal to go through there. There's plenty of people that do ultras and stuff like that do it at a much faster time, but we're more what I consider weekend warriors. We do the one big event one time a year, so we don't quite move with the speed of some of them people. But we have some people in our group that get down in that 12-hour range and stuff like that. But for the most part, we're about a 16 to 20 hour type group, just kind of normal Joes out there, doing something big. A lot of these ultra people do multiples of them in a year. We do one a year. Just pick a good activity and get in shape for it and do it.
What do you do as far as prep? How far in advance do you start, and how do you increase your mileage to be able to be prepared for the distance of the canyon? Obviously, it's very hard to find a place to prepare for the 22,000 gain and drop in elevation. Tell me a little bit about your prep and how you kind of ramp into it.
Well, we start in January, right after the coues deer hunt in Mexico. We start hitting it pretty serious, about 3 or 4 times a week, and we always go out to the mountains here in the valley. We got some trails we do, and always off trail because that's what the canyon is, and we do verticals and mileage, and start out reasonable and work your way up, and we'll get to the point that a month or so before we'll get a couple of 20 milers in. We'll work up to 10s, we'll do 20s, and we've done 30s, and we just start increasing that distance on there to the point where we always do the canyon about the last weekend in April. Seems to be the best time when the snow melts and you get to the North Rim and the weather's pretty nice, and before it gets hot. So we use the 4 months or so there and just hit it pretty consistently and hard, as far as hikes. And we even train, because we start at night. We train, a lot of our trainings at night. We don't start till 6 o'clock at night, headlamps, doing 7-10 mile little trail runs and verticals up the mountain, and just trying to get everything ready. And the nice thing about it is everything transfers over, like the hunting. When we're getting in shape, that works for hunting. Running with a headlamp, navigating at night, all that helps with hunting. I have ulterior motives to most of the stuff I do, and it always leads back to hunting.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of diet preparation, are you doing as you're preparing for the canyon?
Definitely, you have to change your normal lifestyle a little bit. There's a lot of effort in workouts and, good nutrients and food, and, cutting out the pops and any of the junk foods and stuff like that, and trying to eat, a lot cleaner, and, helping your performance. Definitely is a big part of it, because nutrition and hydration are a huge part in the canyon, to get you through that long. So it all becomes part of the training process also.
So are you eating a lot of proteins, just a lot of whole foods and proteins as the training persists and as the hike is getting closer?
Yeah. Much cleaner eating with just good foods, fruits, vegetables, meats. It's sticking to the basics on there, and and doing it too while you're working out. I mean, that's a part of training people don't realize, like running at night. When you're running in the canyon, navigating at night, if you're not used to that, it'll be foreign to you when you go into the canyon with a headlamp. So you want to train. Whatever you're going to do, you want to train. Like one of the favorite sayings is, don't do anything on game day that you haven't practiced. So you better have practiced everything, whether it be eating on the run while you're going, navigating at night with headlamps. You better become real comfortable to all that. It'll make your experience that much better on there, because you are going to, encountered in the canyon.
Speaking of eating on the run, what do you actually take for food for that 16-hour, 20-hour journey? What do you actually carry on you? Do you stash food? Walk me through from start to finish, not only food but drink. What exactly are you using? I'm sure you've perfected your what you're taking. I'm curious what it is.
Well, yeah, everybody's a little different. We started out, and like most things in life, I don't know them because I'm some college educated physical person. We've gone there and knocked our heads against the wall a few times, and we used to take a lot of food. We used to take a lot of calories, but the human body will only consume so much. So we've trimmed it way down. I mean, we're probably taking about 4,000 calories with us. The human body can only take in so much. A lot of electrolyte replacement, depending on the heat. When we're doing the canyon, it takes you take a lot more electrolytes in. But it's just some plain foods, almonds, peanuts. You'll take some stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of chicken. We'll take some hard-boiled eggs. But then too, you have your protein powder. We'll do a drink. Couple in there. Some guys rely totally on that stuff. So it just depends on the person. You can't rely on somebody else. I keep telling people you have to go out, use it, try it, and see if it works for you. What works for you might not work for someone else. We can get you close, but you need to go out and play with it and see how your body accepts it and does with it. But the calories aren't as big a thing as you think they are. It's more hydration. You get a lot of calories through electrolyte replacements, or you can do shakes. And you can only eat so much. We used to take 4 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Now I only take 1, and I might eat half of it on there. So you think like most things we do, we over prepare or do too much. But yeah, you're right. We've streamed it down to being pretty efficient with the food on there. Water's not an issue. There's water stations in the canyon at the right increments where you have a bladder in your pack, so you can refill it and refill a bottle with electrolytes. So there's different points you can do that. So you don't have to carry water. You just carry the amount of food you need, and then you can replenish the water. So we're probably going in with about a 15-pound pack. It seems like what it ends up being, most guys.
And most of the packs are they fanny packs, or are you wearing over the shoulder packs? What do you guys find works best for you?
Yeah, most of the time it's over the shoulder pack. I don't know anybody running a fanny pack, but but you got to get one that's comfortable. Some of them are a little bigger, some a little smaller. Everybody's different or what they like, but generally a pack that'll hold the bladder in it, usually an 80 or 100 ounce bladder in it, and can hold your food. And depending on the weather, maybe you got an extra pair of gloves, a beanie. You had a little warmer shirt on in the morning. Depending on the day, if it's going to be rainy, cold, you gotta have to have a little room to maybe take some extra gear, but hopefully not. I mean, you want to be as light as you can.
When you go, if there's a storm on the horizon where you're going to see that it is going to rain or snow or what have you, do you reschedule so that you don't have to take rain gear and any extra weight, or do you just go and do it?
No, we've gone and done it every time we've been in there. Rain, heat, snow. I've seen it all in the canyon. You just have to bring more gear and prepare. And doing it 16 times, sometimes it's kind of fun. It adds another little layer of excitement to the adventure on there. But we go. It's some of the most beautiful times. We've gone to the North Rim. There's still snow. The waterfalls will start to come, and some of the ice melts, and the bushes are encapsulated in ice, and you can see the bush in it. But seen some cool things in there through some different weather. So there's never been a time when we've canceled it. Even be it heat. One year we started at 8:00 at night to get going a little earlier and do most of it in the dark, and it didn't help out a whole bunch because we had a lot of sleep deprivation, and that I found out sleep deprivation is probably one of the hardest things to fight through.
So you got where you're actually walking, but you're like a sleepwalking. You're just out of your mind kind of thing, and
yeah,
is that what you mean?
Yeah, just kind of zombie, and you start seeing things, and it plays tricks with your mind, that sleep deprivation. So, but we're kind of adrenaline junkies to do it anyways. It's kind of tough at the time, but looking back on it, it's kind of cool to push your body and test and go through different things and see how far you can push your body. Just like we had someone a few years ago do it, and we were driving back. We got in the car. Me and another buddy had done it several times. When we got out at the same time, we're going to drive back to the hotel, and I asked him how it went, and he said pretty good. And then a minute later, he says, "I don't think I'm doing this again." And I looked back at him. I said, "Ain't nobody doing it again right now. Give it a week or two."
For sure, for sure. What footwear? I'm real curious exactly what socks you use, what the material is, and what shoes you wear, and if those translate at all into anything you use hunting, and how do you handle getting your feet prepared? And if you do get blisters, what, do you just tough it out, or what do you do with that? I know there's several questions there.
Yeah, no, a lot of good questions. The feet are, a huge thing. That's what's going to get you through. So that's what you start in the preparing back in January. That's got to be one of your main things, is get a pair of shoes that you can wear comfortably, that you can put a lot of miles on, that treat your feet well. And if you find a pair like that, buy 2 or 3, because you're going to wear one out just preparing for the canyon, and have another one ready to go when you go into the canyon. So shoes are hugely important. Most everybody we're doing trail shoes in some form or fashion. I've tried every one on the market, once or twice over the years. You're always looking for the next best thing that's, going to make it easy for you. And I can tell you, I've tried every shoe, and there's not one of them that's made the canyon easier for me. On there, it's still a tough ordeal, but as far as getting your feet through it, I use toed socks. A lot of us have gone to toed socks just because you have like 2 layers of material between every toe, and you don't get your toes rubbing together and forming blisters on there. So the toed socks work out really well. A lot of guys think they're, they first try them, they're kind of foreign to them. We're not used to wearing them, but once you get them on, and wear them, you don't notice them a whole bunch on there.
Is
but
that
really,
the brand, Dave? Is that the brand Toad, or is that just what they call
it? No, yeah, just a toed sock, like a glove. There's several different manufacturers of them out there, and they're generally, you can get them from cotton to, the higher blend of, material on there that, moisture wicking and stuff. I mean, there's a whole variety of them out there on there, but like I said, and what works for me doesn't necessarily work for someone else. You try to tell somebody, hey, I do this, and they do it, and and they might do something similar, and they put their own little twist on it. But there's a few constants that you have to do, but as far as preference of gear, they're gonna use some type of a trail shoe, whether it's the one you're wearing or a different brand. They're gonna be. You just want to be light. It's all improved trails, so it's not like you're going through just backcountry and no trails. I mean, these are established trails in the Grand Canyon, so the shoes aren't as big a deal as far as like ankle support and that. I mean, it's all improved trails, so it's going to be some type of trail shoe that's comfortable to you.
What do you specifically wear, or what did you wear this last year?
I wear a shoe called an Ultra. It's got a wider shoe box in the front. It's supposed to, splay your toes out and make your foot more natural. And they did really good. I mean, I didn't have an ounce of problem with them. I've tried other shoes before, a lot of different types of shoes, and had different ones, give you some hot spots and some, had some blisters, and, you got to stop and take care of them. We carry moleskin and different things because it's just too long of an activity. You're going to have to address it at some point, or it could become crippling in the canyon after a while. I've seen some guys hobble out of there before, and it can be pretty miserable. So as soon as you feel something, you want to take care of it.
Have you had, in the 16 times that you've done it, have you had circumstances or things going on with your body where you've had to have serious gut check time, and either A, couldn't, you couldn't finish the job, or B, you thought you were going to, thought it was your last time in there? I mean, do you have any stories where personally, you had to really, really gut check yourself on it, or is it every single time, you think you want to die type of thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't know as far as die. I mean, you definitely push yourself. You're going to push yourself beyond physically to where you have to mentally go, and it's definitely a place for a mentally tough person, because you're definitely going to test yourself, and you're going to come to the ends of your limits, or what you think your limits are. It's amazing how much further the human body can push through than the mind, and that's something you find in the canyon. But of all the times, only one time last year I did not complete. I did about 38 of the 47 miles. My lower back was just bothering me, and got so far and said, you know what, I'm turning around and going back. And a lot of people get there and they do it one time. The first time they want to complete it, they'll suffer through it, or, they won't be able to do it, and they'll come back and do it again. But I've done it so many times, it didn't bother me. I mean, okay, I couldn't do it this time. Back was bothering me. I turned around, went back, had a nice day, got out, about noon, had a shower, came back, waited for everybody to come out. It was a nice day, but I know the pressure a lot of people are under. They're in there their first time and they want to complete it. I encourage most people to at least just go down to the river and back, down to Phantom Ranch and back in a day. Get a taste of it, see what it's like, see if it's something you want to do, if you want to tackle the whole thing and do it. That's usually a better way to do it. And we usually have a pretty good group of people that, are doing a half, and that's not a bad way to start.
Are you all using trekking poles? Everybody in your group, do they all use some sort of trekking pole?
Yes. Yeah, everybody has trekking poles on there. You need them at one, just stabilization sometimes, coming down off that north rim, and your body gets used to going uphill, and then all of a sudden you're going downhill now. And the thing in the canyon is it seems like there's so many uphills. By the time, you get sick of uphill, then you go downhill, then you get sick of downhill. I mean, there's just so much of it, but the poles help tremendously. A lot of the trail has that erosion, terracing up it, come up that south rim, and you might have a 6-inch step up, or you might have a 12-inch, or, it varies. And when you're tired and stuff, it's sure nice to incorporate some other muscle mass besides just your legs and be able to pull you up some of those ledges coming up.
I know Dar did it one time with you, and curious with this next question, once you've done it and seen what your body can do, how does that translate into when you're hunting and you're going to go for a hike, say you're on a coues deer hunt or whatever, sheep hunt, and you look across and you're going up and down and up the other side or something, and it looks pretty crazy. Once you've done 47, 50 miles, do those hikes become more routine, and that you can do much worse than what's in front of you? I'm curious how you handle that, or how you mentally can go through that.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of the reasons the canyon. I think it gives you perspective. We've all had those hunting buddies. You go out there and go, hey, we're going to go over there and look across that hill. And I go, you're going to go over there? I go, yeah, it'll only take us an hour. And goes, I'm not hiking for an hour to look on the other side of that hill. When you do the canyon, it's not a big deal. You're in there and you're going 47 miles, and it's taking you 16 to 20 hours to hike an hour over there, look on a hill, and hike an hour back. It's not a big deal. And as far as mental and physical, there's just about nothing that won't test you. I mean, there's times it'll test you. I've hunted in Colorado, been above timberline. I mean, the lack of air. Yeah, you're going to be tested, but you can slow down and make a pace, and it's like, you know what, I can go that far. I can haul this gear over there, my tripod, my binoculars, and I'm going to go sit the rest of the day on that hill in glass, and then, some wait till it gets dark, and then I'll just come back. And, doing the canyon, like say training in the dark with headlamps, all that stuff's not foreign anymore, because we train and do it all the time anyways, getting ready for the canyon every year for 4 months out of the year. When we get in a hunting situation, it makes it that much easier. It's not a big deal going where I've been with guys and they're like, I'm not going over there. It's like, you won't be back till after dark. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, because my perspective is a lot different. I've pushed myself and done it to where it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take another quick break here to hear from our sponsors. Have you guys heard about PhoneScope? PhoneScope is a privately held company that makes custom-molded, precisely engineered smartphone digiscoping adapters. Photographing wildlife has never been easier. Take digiscoping photos and videos from your smartphone and share them with your friends. PhoneScope stands behind their product with a 100% money back guarantee. PhoneScope is the future of digiscoping. Get yours now. Use the JScott16 promo code and receive 10% discount on all purchases. Check them out at PhoneScope, that's PhoneSkope.com, or on Instagram at PhoneScope. Wilderness Athlete is committed to improving the health and quality of life for the outdoor athlete by providing field-tested, scientifically validated nutrition and sports performance products. Check them out at wildernessathlete.com and use the JScott promo code to receive 10% off any order. Dave, another thing that you've gotten into over the years is long-range shooting. And I know that you've done that Vortex, I believe it's the Vortex shoot in Utah. Curious, are you going to do it this year? Can you tell my listeners a little bit about the shoot and what the format is and how you and your partner, your shooting partner, prepare for that shoot?
Yeah, the Vortex Extreme, they call it. It's they do it up in Utah. They have a shooting range up there that they can do it in because it's like 7.5 miles. At one point you climb like 1,000 feet over a mountain, and you have to have all the gear, rifle, bullets, any shooting aids. Everything has to be on your back. And it started about 5 years ago. We've done it every year, but I think this is our fifth or sixth year. And it's just like the canyon, it's another thing to prepare you for hunting. It makes you, really think about shooting and the aspects of it and knowing your weapon and ballistics and, understanding everything where you can be, a decent shot, have a good opportunity at taking an animal when you've practiced those distances and far further than that. We engage targets, on the competition up to like 1,200 yards on there. And I've never come close to that, on an animal on there. But yeah, no, it teaches you, inside and out, knowing your rifle. A lot of things in life, when you do it in a competition format, it makes you that much better, makes you rise up a little bit. So, the rifle aspect of the hunting is a non-issue. When we go hunting now and we see an animal, it's just finding them, making the shot, or is very little of it, because generally a 400, 500, 600, 700 yard shot is not an unmakeable shot when you're practicing out to 1,000, 1,200 yards and knowing your weapon. That makes those reasonably far shots would be hunting wise, 500, 600 yard shot. But the thing is too, is that it's just a skill. I wanted to learn, have a skill of hunting, and a lot of guys, and the kind of talk around is, some guys will get a shot and they'll want to back up and say, well, I want to make it 1,000 yard. It's not that for me at all. The aspect of shooting long range is just to make me more proficient at my shooting. And like I said to you and other people before, whether I can sneak up behind something with a knife or if I can shoot it from 1,000 yards, I want to have all the skills. So when the situation dictates, I can take advantage of that situation. It doesn't mean I have to shoot every one of my animals at 1,000 yards. Like I was lucky enough to draw a bighorn sheep tag in Arizona, and I had a pretty good ram at like 500 yards, and I could have shot him from there, no problem, but I could get closer. I got to 240 yards, and I took the shot. And it's just, I think it's a little hunter responsibility to be able to, give that animal as much respect as you can to make the very best shot and stalk and opportunity out of it that you can.
Well, certainly too, the ability to get closer and have a good field of view of where the, your target is. And if you needed to make a follow-up shot, you moved up to a higher location where you were more level with the ram. And, if you would have shot at 500, let's say you maybe didn't make a good shot or you might have missed, it's definitely easier when you have a bigger field of view and kind of, maybe on a level plane with the animal. for sure. Where if he were to move left, right, up, or down, you'd be able to take additional shots if necessary. And I think that's important. I'm curious what rifle that you use for this shoot, and is that your hunting rifle? Tell me a little bit about the bullets that you shoot. I assume you reload all your own stuff. What grain bullet? Kind of give me your program on what you're shooting there.
We take the guns we hunt with because I do this to be a better hunter. And a lot of guys take some pretty hot rodded guns up there. The only limitation they have is you can't shoot a 50 caliber, but you can shoot anything else up there. And a lot of guys bring some stuff that wouldn't be too practical, single shot type stuff that wouldn't be too practical hunting. But we take our hunting rifles because that's why I'm there, to be a better hunter. And the first couple of years I shot a 7 STW rifle, and then I had a 264 Winchester made, which shoots a 6.5 millimeter bullet. And then right now I got my guy making me a 30 Nosler, which hopefully will be done here in the next week or so, and I can get that all tuned up and take it up to the shoot. But the equipment, the bullets, everything I use at the shoot is exactly how I hunt, because I want to practice to be a better hunter, and I could do some other things and maybe have more an advantage at the shoot, but I do it for hunting purposes.
Are you using what kind of scope are you using? A Swarovski or a Night Force, or what scope are you using? And do you use a ballistic reticle, or are you using a turret?
In shooting, you evolve in different things. You start out a certain way, and then you evolve into other things. I started out at my Night Force scope, as far as the dial-up scope, was my first dial-up was a Night Force. Before they had zero stop on there, so you had to learn and know where you were and stuff. And then my second one was a Night Force also, but it has zero stop now. And on this new one, I'm putting the new Swarovski, their X5 on there. Their 5.5 to 25 scope on there. Just seems to be really, really clear and a lot of good features. And I guess they went into about 6 or 7 years of development into that scope, and it's a pretty nice scope. So I'm going to give that one a try. So, I mean, it's all quality stuff. I mean, Night Force, durability, quality. And if you're shooting those longer distances, with clarity, reliability, repeatability, when you dial it up, does the scope go back to zero every time? Can you dial it up and make the same shot every time? So we found the Night Forces work good. I've had a few Swarovskis before. I haven't had a dial-up, so we're going to find out on it. But I have complete confidence that Swarovskis are probably going to do everything I want it to do.
That's great. And what bullet are you shooting? What have you been shooting?
I've been shooting the Accubons. In my 6.5, I've been shooting the Lapua Sonars. It's more of a target bullet. I had shot 3 or 4 whitetail with it, and it's done a good job on there. It's more of a target bullet. They have a new bullet. Hornady has an ELDX bullet out on the market that appears to be a really good bullet, high BCs, ballistic coefficients, and very accurate bullet. I heard nothing but good reports on it. So this new 30 Nosler, I'm going to work up some loads with the new ELDX bullets, and they're a hunting bullet. A lot of these bullets, the problem, they might shoot good at a tournament and stuff like that, but just like the Sonars, they're made for a target. A hunting bullet's a hunting bullet. They build them for controlled expansion and things like that. So I try to use the hunting bullets. In my 7, I use a 160 grain Accubond. In the tournament and hunting, same thing. I use the same bullet. I don't use a different load. And that's why in my 6.5, I'm going to the Hornady. I have some 143 grainers. I'm going to load up and work up a load for that 6.5, because I like the Sonars. They shoot really good, but they're more of a target bullet, and I want to be more into a hunting bullet on there when I use that rifle.
With the long range practice and all the shooting that you've done, what have you learned about shooting in the wind and shooting, up and downhill that you could pass on to the listeners? Maybe a few tips of to maybe shorten their learning curve just a little bit on shooting shooting long distance with the wind, trying to dope the wind and such. What have you learned?
Well, that's the biggest thing. Everybody, I think last year there was 56 teams in that Vortex shoot, and I guarantee you, every one of those guys comes with an accurate rifle. They perfected their loads. They've sat down at benches. They can punch paper. I mean, you can take a rifle to that stage, with enough time and energy. Everybody can get there. What wins that tournament is shooting across canyons, sometimes double canyons, is dope in the wind. And in any long distance rifle competition, it's dope in the wind. And it relates right into the hunting field too, because most times we're shooting across canyons, and the wind becomes the biggest thing. And it's like anything, you have to go out and practice it. There's other things you can go online, you can look. There's you can get gauges. We have gauges. We can gauge the wind, but you're gauging the wind where you're at, not necessarily where the animal's standing. So you have to be able to learn how to read, grass and trees and, different things over there that are going to tell you how the wind's blowing over there. It might be going left to right where you are and right to left over there. And like anything, you have to practice it. I mean, if you're gonna go swimming, you got to get wet. And like when we practice for that shoot, we might go up and lay out targets out to 1,000 yards, and we'll shoot them just to verify our guns and everything, and it'll be calm. And then we'll just wait. We're waiting for the wind. It's useless for us to practice in calm conditions anymore. We're waiting for the wind. We want to practice in the wind. We want to judge it, tell each other, because you work as a team. So you want your teammate to be able to tell you, how many minutes you need to adjust for, left or right, how's the wind doing, reading mirage. There's a lot of different things you can do to read the wind, but the biggest thing is you need to go out and practice in the wind.
So in other words, spending time out just doing it is going to help you more than reading a book, watching a YouTube video, or, going to you can have a lot of book knowledge, but what I hear you saying is you actually need to go out in different situations and see what that particular gun, that particular load, how it performs in each situation, because everything's different. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's you definitely want to become familiar with whatever you're going to do, as far as finding different methods, researching them, and then going and putting them in use in the field. Too many guys, you hear these days, spend a lot of money, buy a high dollar rifle and say, hey, this is a 1,000-yard rifle. Well, they've never shot 1,000 yards. It might be a 1,000-yard rifle to somebody else, but it's not to you because you've never shot that far. And if you're going to give the animal the respect and you're going to take a 700 or 800-yard shot, in my mind, you better have taken a 700 or 800-yard shot in practice and know exactly what your gun does and know how to shoot it and know how to dope the wind. Or, it's not the ethical thing to do, just to lob bullets out there and say, hey, I'm going to hit that animal. And it's fun. We love to hunt. We go hunting. Practice is fun too. I have as much fun shooting steel as just about anything else. It's fun to do, and it's just making you better.
For the listeners out there that maybe aren't as experienced, give kind of a rough example. If you say you're shooting at 800 to 1,000 yards, and let's say you have a crosswind, tell somebody out there a minute of angle, or 10 feet or whatever it might be. What have you seen in those situations to give someone out there that's maybe not as experienced? I mean, how much can the wind blow that bullet? As far as what have you seen as far as dramatic holdovers and stuff? Yeah,
the a minute of angle, to define it, is roughly, it's a little bit different, but we use it as a go-to figure is a 1-inch increment. 1 minute of angle, 1 MOA at 100 yards is 1 inch. At 200 yards is 200 inches. At 300 yards is 3 inches, and so on. And some of the wind doping, especially like shooting those further 800, 1,000 yard targets out there, sometimes we'll put as much as 3, 4, 5 minutes of angle, and you figure 5 minutes of angle at 800 yards. Well, it's 5 times 8 on there. So you're looking at 40 inches of movement. And if you're putting it on the front shoulder of an animal, you've clean missed him. That wind has blown you. If there's that much adjustment needed to make the shot, then you've missed it, or you've made a bad shot. You've gut shot them an elk, or you shot them in the back end instead of the front end. So it makes a huge difference. I mean, you should always adjust for some type of wind. There's always some wind when you're out and you're shooting canyons. There's some type of wind to adjust for out there.
And Dave, when you talk about those situations that we face all the time hunting coues deer, with a double canyon situation where you may have wind that is, blowing left or right on, right, from 0 to 250 yards, and then it goes over a little rise and it hits another canyon, and from say 300 to 600 yards, the wind may be blowing. What, from a hunting situation, if you have multiple wind currents, would you tell someone just to get closer, get inside of 300 yards, or how do you calculate and try and dope the wind for it moving one way and then having it move the other?
Well, that's the thing. It's like you said. I mean, always get as close as you possibly can. Doping the wind. The problem with doping the wind, it's a constant, a moving, fluid situation. You could judge the wind. Be sitting up, look at your chart, look at your wind meter, judge the wind, lay down, get ready to take the shot, and the wind changed. Your whole situation changed. Your 2 or 3 or 4 minutes angle, whatever you calculated to put into that shot, just changed because the wind just died. So it's a constant moving situation. That's why I say practice, because you learn how to read those situations. Okay, I gave it 4 minutes, it's died down, it's a lot less. I'm going to knock off half of that. I'm going to make a 2 minute of angle shot. And it's hard to make those judgments in the field when you haven't practiced those. So definitely wind is a practicing thing. It's a definite mathematical figure, but the problem is the wind is always gusting and up and down, and it's always changing. And that's where the finesse comes into it, as far as being able to read that wind and knowing what your top wind speed is. And this is an ultimate calculation, but it's died down, and you're going to be a lot closer, to the impact point when you are able to read that wind and incorporate that into your shot. Because otherwise, some guys, aim to miss on the first shot. It's kind of like, I'm just going to shoot and tell me where it hits. Well, you're aiming to miss on the first shot. Our goal is to aim to kill them on the first shot. And if something doesn't happen right, then we adjust from there. But if we've already done our best to calculate it, our margin of error is going to be a lot smaller than just taking a shot and saying, okay, where did I hit? It's really not the way to go.
Makes total sense. Let's take another quick break here. Utah Hydrographics is in the water transfer printing service, and they are open to whatever you can dream up. Choose from a wide range of camo patterns, designs, and colors. Whether it's guns, bows, tools, rifle stocks, vehicles, steering wheels, fenders, dashboards, paint guns, fishing rods, cups, tripods, watches, knife grips, helmets for a local sports team or for your motorcycle, picture frames, mailbox, animal skulls, you name it, they can probably do it. Utah Hydrographics loves taking things that are general looking and turns them into something that looks fantastic and eye-popping. Give them a call and see what they can do for you, and receive up to a 10% discount by using the JScott16 promo code. Visit them at utahhydrographics.com or on Instagram at Utah Hydrographics. Whether you are interested in elk, deer, antelope, bighorn sheep, or moose, Western Hunter and Elk Hunter magazines will bring the adventure to your mailbox. These publications feature articles on the finest hunting gear, tips and tactics from experienced hunters, field judging trophies, glassing techniques, calling strategies, and much more. To become a more knowledgeable and skilled hunter, subscribe today. Go to westernhunter.net/jscott and enter your email address for a chance to win a $1,500 credit towards any Swarovski product. So Dave, another thing that we have in common is we love to hunt coues deer, and we love to hunt them in Mexico. My question to you would be, I get the question all the time, but I want to ask you the question. What makes hunting in Mexico for coues deer so special to you?
I think the biggest thing about Mexico is probably the old school. You're going down there, you're on a ranch. Generally, coverage is pretty slim. Guys aren't going back to their truck, checking their email and all that stuff. You're down there, you're with some buddies, and you're just hunting. And all you got to worry about is hunting, sleeping, and eating. I mean, there's nothing else. I mean, you cut the rest of the world out on there, and I think that's the biggest draw of Mexico. It kind of gets back to what hunting probably was here in the United States, 30, 40 years ago, before the invention of the cell phone and all the communication, where you'd go up and, you wouldn't see somebody till a week later. And sad to say, in Mexico, the communication is getting a lot better. We can all use our cell phones down there now in certain places, but it's still a little tough. But I think the biggest thing is being able to just go down there and kind of go back to the way it used to be.
Yeah, we call it eat, sleep, and kill, and it's one of those things that if you haven't experienced it, I highly encourage people to do that, where you're constantly strategizing as to, and I know, Dave, you're a lot like Dara and I, and constantly strategizing which point to go up, where will that buck be, where can I see him from, what can I see from that point, the strategy aspect of it. Love going to these ranches and locking these gates, and then just having the whole place to just try and figure out where can you find bucks for, you and your buddies, and in our case, our clients. And, coues deer themselves, they're a very special animal. In your mind, what makes coues deer a special animal to you?
Coues deer, I got to say, is probably my passion. I enjoy hunting a lot of other things. The elk, the mule deer, whatever it may be. I always said if there was a season for Bowie knife, I'd put in for that too. But whitetail are at the top of the list. They're just a little cagier creature. They live in a little tougher terrain than a lot of animals. They're living in cactus, stickery, thick, steep canyons. Takes a little bit to, get into some of that country and find them. It must be just the challenge of that animal, because they're not a big animal at all, but they're just a cagey, wily, type of animal, and it's just figuring them out and going into that terrain and pushing yourself to cover and look at and cover as much terrain as you can.
Yeah, and I think from hiking the canyon and doing the long range shooting, and doing the glassing and hiking up big tall knobs, and kind of the sense of adventure of it, for me, as I know it is for you, it kind of brings all that together, where you bring a physical aspect to it. You bring a tactical aspect to it, and then you've got an animal that, when you do get them on the ground, they're just incredible animals. Very, very pretty animals as far as their face and all the features. And, they're small in body size, but very, very crafty. We laugh that, they can sometimes, dig a tunnel and go underground. And I think they're a lot different than a lot of other animals. I think the mule deer, big bucks on the Arizona Strip that, get hunted and, are crafty, have that same aspect. But the size of the coues deer adds a whole nother dimension of, trying to shoot long range and hit a much smaller target. So from that aspect, that's one reason why I like them as well. You and Reed, your friend Reed, went down with us last February after hunting season, and we went and looked at a bunch of ranches, and we had a great time. And we found a ranch that you guys are going to hunt this year. What are you looking forward to on that particular ranch? And I'm just curious of your thoughts of what you saw and kind of what you're anticipating, and what you're thinking about going into the next January season when they're rutting.
Well, I think it's going to be a great ranch. We've seen the numbers. I mean, there's quite a bit of sign, quite a bit of deer, but the neat thing, and I think the biggest thing for a coues deer hunter is to get to a place that hasn't been hunted too much. The unknown. I think the unknown is the biggest draw on there. This ranch has been very little hunted, great numbers to it. So and it's got great terrain on it. So it leads to there's probably going to be some good bucks on that ranch. But the neat thing about it is, and I've hunted down in Mexico for 15 years, you never know till we get down there in January and get in the rut and find out what's there. We don't truly know what's there. We got expectations of what we think's there, but we don't know till we hunt that ranch, and that's kind of exciting just to go to a new place. You know, whether we kill some monsters or whatever, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about it too, is from an adventure aspect. I mean, we always say that until you go hunt it for a good 7 days, and you know, I always say until you go hunt it in the rut for a good 7 days, you really never know what you have. I mean, we can go scout them in, you know, February, March. We can go back and, you know, we had the fortune of going back during turkey season, and you guys drove all around and, you know, identified points and glassing areas and such. But I mean, you can see some deer and what have you, but I mean, until you really go in January in the rut, you know, for that week or 2 weeks or however long you're going to go, you know, it's anybody's guess really, as to what you really have. But, you know, usually after a week or 10 days, you have a pretty good feel for, you know, if it's a quality ranch or not.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you got to be down there at the right time, especially in Mexico. It's so far away. It doesn't lend for the ability like we do here in Arizona, where guys will, you know, put cameras up year round and, you know, run 10, 20 different cameras in an area. You could do that down there also, but we don't do that. And maybe by purpose too. I like the aspect of going down and let's just see what's there instead of,
yeah,
you know,
me too.
running a bunch of cameras.
You know, I think that's the adventure aspect of it, of just having no idea what's there and just go hunting. And, you know, I think in this day and age with our trail cameras, you know, I go back and forth whether I like them or don't like them. And it's, you know, yeah, to maybe hone in on a particular buck and know that the buck's there. But the thing I really like about Mexico is it's a hunt. It's you don't know. You're going to go up to the glassing point in the dark, and it's going to get light, and you're going to see what's there. And you're going to do that day in and day out. And, you know, some ranches are better than others. You know, some bucks are better than others. And you know, I love that aspect of let's just go hunt it. You know, let's not make it a deal where you hike up on the point and you say, I know that buck's going to step out. You just sit here and wait and, you know, you're going to shoot him. I love just going and saying, well, I've never been to this point that we're going to. I can't wait to get up there. Let's go see what it looks like and go look off the other side and see what it looks like there. And, you know, I would encourage the listeners to, if their hunting has become so routine that, you know, maybe go in some new country and just say, I'm just going to go. We're going to go see what happens. You know, go shake it out and go hunt it for a few days and see what's there. And, you know, that's what keeps me energized, is looking at new country. I mean, we've hunted a lot of ranches in Mexico, and I love hunting new properties and getting to know properties and, you know, pounding out the country and seeing all the different things. Because, you know, usually it takes you a week to get around a property and know, you know, like, okay, this point's good, that one's not good. Okay, this one's good for cross glassing. You know, your buddy's on one, you're on the other, and all of that strategy and tactics part of those coues deer hunts are what I really enjoy, for sure. Well, Dave, it's been awesome having you on this episode, and I encourage anyone that's listening in the Phoenix metro area, if they need any AC or heat work, Dave is your man. And Dave, I want to give you a chance to let people know where they can get a hold of you if they do need some AC or heat work.
Well, the best way is probably just to give a call. We've got an office phone number at 480-649-5449, and that's probably the best way. When cooling is needed, they want immediate attention, so the phone is probably the best way to get something going real quick.
That sounds good, and I look forward to doing some sheep hunting with you this fall and hanging out. And it's always great and a pleasure talking to you. Wish you the best in your shooting tournament here in a month or so, a couple months, and hope you guys fare well and enjoy yourself up there.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, buddy. Take care. God bless.